number 3. Guys, great job at getting the soundbite up for Frank Reich saying that he was going to be the new OC of the Eagles, man, if he didn't get the Carolina job. I love that. I love that fact. So get this. They must have had a conversation. They must have had a conversation during the Super Bowl. Sirianni and Frank Reich must have had a conversation during the bye week, or when they had the bye week heading into the 49er game, and then again the bye week of the Super Bowl. Does that sound right? Yeah, they're friends. I know. They go back a long way. As a matter of fact, yeah, you want to hear something? I didn't even know that Sirianni was the wide receiver coach with the San Diego Chargers when I was covering the Chargers for 1090. I had no idea he was the wideout coach. I had no idea he was there. I don't think Shane Steichen was there. This is when Frank Reich was the offensive coordinator for Mike McCoy. Mike McCoy was the head coach. Frank was the OC. It's funny, isn't it? Mike McCoy is now a coach down in Jacksonville for Doug Peterson. It's kind of funny how that whole thing goes back in circles, right? Jesse goes, Sills, do you believe in Kyle Shanahan? I'm going to put what Tone said about Kyle Shanahan. You just can't put your name on the test and say you passed. Giants, thank you very much. Hey, Giants. Giant, are you really a Giant fan? If you are, my uncle's a Hall of Famer in your organization. See that jersey behind me? Hold on. Got to dip. No, it's this one. Robustelli. That's Andy Robustelli's New York Giant Hall of Fame jersey in their Ring of Honor. See that right there? 81. That's his Ring of Honor. Look, that's his Ring of Honor jersey. Ring of Honor. Robustelli. When he passed away, when he passed away, his brother had it, and his brother gave it to me, wanted me to have something. One of my mentors. How many games do you think he played against the Eagles at Franklin Field in that thing? Well, they didn't have names on the back of the jerseys. That's a ceremonial jersey, but the Giant guys didn't have their names on the jerseys. But Robustelli played a ton of games at Franklin Field. But those Franklin Field Giant games were some of the greatest games of all time. I don't know if the Cowboys ever played at Franklin. They probably did in the 60s. They had to have played at Franklin because when was the Vet built? When was the Vet built in Philly? In the early 70s? Was the Vet built in 70? Like that, right? The Vet was 70, I thought. Okay? 72? Like that, around there, 72, 74. It was kind of built around that time, right? It was kind of around October of 67. Holy shit, I didn't realize it was that old a Vet. I thought it was built in the 70s. 67. Vet's first year, 1871. Just after the Civil War, right? They used to put munitions in there. That's a good old rivalry, man. Absolutely. They broke ground in 67 and opened it in 71. Okay. I kind of thought it was early 70s. I don't know why I remembered it was early 70s. Because I told you guys this story years ago. Joe, you'll like this. So I played with Robustelli's kids, and Robustelli's related to us. He's a family member. And when I was a young kid, I went up to New Haven, and I used to go up with Mike and Chris Robustelli, and we used to put the cones. My grandpa would let me go up. This is when we weren't going to the Danbury Fair races. And we would put the cones up. I did it for a couple games when they played in New Haven. And those like the Eagles and Giants, I think the Eagles and Giants, or maybe the Giants and Patriots were the last game that they played in New Haven. Because the Giants played in New Haven for a little bit. After they moved out of Yankee Stadium, they went. That's how I knew Bruce Allen, because Bruce is a little older than me. And George Allen's kid used to put the cones up for the Redskins. And so I've been friends with Bruce Allen since we were since we were little kids, before even teenagers. Yeah. So seeing the Eagle guys come up, that was, who was the coach before Vermeil? Was that Marion Campbell? Who was the coach before Vermeil? Was that Marion Campbell? Would I sign OBJ? No. Too much money, broken down. Off subject, would you offer a job to Rex Ryan? Figueroa, that's Figueroa. That's not the kind of guy they want in that building at the NovaCare Center. Mike McCormick, that's right. Mike McCormick. Mike McCormick was before Vermeil. That's right. Campbell was after Vermeil. That's right. Marion Campbell, I got it backwards. That's right. That's right. All right. I want to go over salary cap. And this gets you, guys, this gets you ready for free agency and what to expect. And why I'm telling you, I think it's going to be kind of hard to keep all your guys, especially defensive guys. Okay, let me get the list of, I got the list of Eagle free agents. I'm going to tell you where, watch this. Javon Hargrave. The Chicago Bears have $94.4 million in cap space. They could theoretically go after Seumalo, Hargrave, and Bradbury. I mean, they've got $100 million almost. The Falcons are number 2. Look at the drop. $56.6 million. The Falcons need a quarterback. They're going to go into draft. Now, could Lamar Jackson land there? Boy, that number looks awful tight there for that, doesn't it? 50 million, 56 million. You could put Lamar, and he's from Atlanta. You could put, actually, Lamar's from South Florida, excuse me. I'm thinking of Deshaun Watson. Lamar Jackson's from South Florida, still South. 56-6. I wouldn't be shocked if Atlanta makes a play for Lamar, but they need a running back. They need offensive linemen. They need defensive linemen. They need linebackers. TJ Edwards is a fit in Atlanta. Seumalo is a fit in Atlanta. Bradbury is a fit in Atlanta. Raiders at number 3 at 48-4. Raiders need a quarterback. Aaron Rodgers fit there? Boy, I'd go after Garoppolo. He's cheaper. And then I could build my team. Jimmy Garoppolo's only going to cost me $25 million. Dude, why would I bring in Aaron Rodgers at 50? In 15, you got a $20 million wide receiver in Devonta Adams. Does that even make sense? They need a quarterback. Garoppolo makes sense there. Lamar Jackson, Las Vegas, I don't see it. That'd be a good fit, though. There's a lot of talent. They got a great tight end. Jacobs is gone. Their old line. I don't know why the Raiders suck. It's got to be the organization. I'm with you, Yale. If I'm the Vegas Raiders, I've got to plug holes kind of the same way that the Eagles and 49ers have. And I'm going to go into the draft with I might go into the draft and draft a quarterback if I'm the Raiders. Yeah. Daniels, too, could be the issue. The Giants. This is the interesting one. The Giants are number 4 at $37.6 million. Who off the Eagles makes sense there? CJ? Would you bring Bradbury home? Probably not. I'll take CJ, though. I'll take Hargrave. Put him right next to Lawrence. But I don't think they'll go there with I don't think that's a market for Hargrave. They need linebackers. They need a wideout. They may need a running back. Miles Sanders have a market there. I would sign Sanders if I was the Giants. You know why? Weakens my divisional opponent, and I get a good player at $20 million over 4 years, and you guys don't want to sign him for that. The Giants will. The Giants will sign him for that. Number 5, the Texans. Shit, the Texans need a ton of help. Giants have X, McKinney, Jay Love at safety. They may snag Edwards or White. Makes sense? The Texans need help everywhere, 35-6. Plus, they've got draft capital. They're going to go into the draft more than anything in free agency. They're going to want to build that war chest up. I don't think you're going to see a lot of free agent movement because they still haven't figured out the quarterback yet. You know, it's pretty hard to build. Look, the 49ers and the Eagles built their – let's be fair. The 49ers and the Eagles built their football team not knowing the question marks at quarterback. This is the first year in 3 years the Eagles have answered the question at quarterback. Don't make it sound like you guys had the answer the whole time. You didn't. You built your roster not knowing. That's the only reason you built that roster up. You didn't know. 7 months ago, you had question marks if Hurts was the guy. Coming off a very average year, you had question marks. Now that you have answered that, this is the first year. How many years? How many years do you think this is now that you now have answered that question about the quarterback? See, 21, 20, 19, 18. This is the first time in 4 years you've answered the question at quarterback. Don't make it sound like you had the answer the whole time. Okay? It's the first year. Bengals are at 35-6. They need O-line help. Okay? They need O-line help. People started having questions about the quarterback position in Philly since 2008, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. So that's 5 years. Well, 5 years. Because going into the season, we didn't think Jalen was the guy. He had to prove it. He did. So it was going into the 5th year. Man, 5 years? And you just figured it out. That's why you built your roster up. I see them getting Sayamalo. I think the Giants could land Sayamalo. They need offensive line help in New York. Then again, Dave Gettleman left that organization in ruin at the offensive line position. They were terrible. Bengals, I could see the Bengals getting Isaac Sayamalo. That's a great fit. And Duke Tope, the problem would be Mike Brown. Mike Brown paid $14 million for Isaac Sayamalo. Played in Philly, started on the best O-line, coached by Stoutland, has a Super Bowl ring and 2 NFC championship rings. That's a pretty damn good resume for a 30-year-old offensive guard. Boy, Isaac Sayamalo and the Bengals are made for one another. And they got the money. And they need to protect Joe Burrow better. The Patriots are at 33.7. They need a wideout. DeAndre Hopkins makes sense there for me. Okay? Bengals just paid big money to O-line last offseason with Burrow. Payday coming. I doubt they target Isaac Seumalo. You can never have enough O-linemen, man. Okay? And here's the problem that the Eagles are going to face. Jordan Mailata may be a casualty eventually. You think you're keeping Mailata and paying a wide receiver 20, a tackle 20, the right tackle 20, and the quarterback 50? Show me in the NFL where that is. Give me one place where both tackles are making $20 million, $18 million apiece. The wideout makes 20. The center makes 10. That could change, obviously. And the quarterback makes 50. Show me where that is. Show me where that is. Mailata's staying? Not if you're paying people like that. That's not true. He's staying. No. Where's that true? I got to be honest. I'm getting rid of my wide receiver before I get rid of my left tackle. Because you have Devonta stepping in, right? Well, Devonta's going to want money. Tone, if you get rid of AJ, Devonta, what do you think? He's going to get 10? He's going to want 20. This guy just had 92 catches, 1,100 yards. You drafted him number 1. You're not wrong. Your O-line is everything. It's the development of Jalen. See how hard this is? Boy, man, I'll tell you this. Years ago, if you drafted right, you had a good team. If you draft right, people go after your assistants and they go after your talent. Right now, the Philadelphia Eagles are paying for their success, and they're going to pay big time for their success. Either paying to keep the guys on the team, or they're going to pay in losing guys. Shit, you lost both coordinators already. Okay? Think about that. Jurgens could step in seamlessly at right guard. I don't know about seamlessly. He's a little dude compared to what you got there. Plus, he hasn't played the position. He's not a guard. He's a center. GT, Howie's the man. Kind of. I see him. Dude, it doesn't matter if he's the man. Was he the man when the team had 4 wins? What was the man then? He lit his own house on fire, and he built it up, and you give him credit for lighting his house on fire and building it back up. I guess so. He self-inflicts himself every single time because this is how he – the thing that's different, though, the thing that's different with Howie compared to the Rams and Les Snead and Kevin Demoff is that those guys are in salary cap hell. Okay, they're in hell. Howie's not in hell. Howie, and plus this year they got the Alshon Jeffries deal finally off the contract of the dead money. So, no one's perfect. I get it, but he does light his house on fire. Cobra goes, Sills, I get we're going to lose guys. Happens when you have to pay your quarterback. You're just beating a dead horse. No, because free agency is starting. The combines are this week. You don't have a coordinator. The decisions on who to keep and not to keep. I'll say this to you, Cobra. So wait, Cobra, do you think that the Eagles have one conversation on one player and then they don't address it every day on who stays and who goes? Every day a situation changes. It's not a dead horse. These are decisions that determine whether or not you build your successful team in the offseason. You build the championship team in the offseason. The Eagles built the best roster in the offseason. Are we all in agreement of that? And then the players played it out. But they built it, the trade with AJ, the signing of Reich. How about that 10 days to the start of the season? Miraculously, hey, Cobra, according to you, we shouldn't talk about how Howie had a guy parachute into his lap and into his hands. Gardner Johnson was on the team for 9 days. I want to show you something, how crazy of a thought that is. Gardner Johnson was a Saint 9 days before the start of the season. Now he's going to get paid $14.4 million. That decision that Howie Roseman made with the Saints and Mickey Loomis will pay C.J. Gardner Johnson $14 million. Real goes, he could be franchised. Well, real, that's the franchise tag for safeties. 14-4. He went from 9 days out to the start of the season, making $826,000 a year, to landing in Philly, co-interception guy in the league, Cobra, to $14.4 million. Think about how many times they had a conversation about bringing him in or not. They didn't just address it once. See, I'm talking to you kind of like Seth talked to you yesterday. I've been in organizations that were dealing with trades. I've talked to people. Coach Johnson gave me the whole layout how the Herschel Walker deal happened and why Jimmy went that route. I'll tell you here, get this, guys. I'll give you an instance in how. What do you think the number one value? Yeah, I probably think you know this. What do you think the number one value was on the Herschel Walker trade? That Jimmy sent a 1,500-yard back. Know this. Herschel had 1,500 yards rushing, 780 yards receiving, was an all-pro, and Jimmy dealt him. What was the value? Yale goes, it turned them around. Brian, the draft picks. Do you know that the NFL changed the rules after that trade? With all of those draft picks, 7 picks. Hey, do me a favor, Tone, if you can, put up the draft picks they got. They weren't draft picks. They were players. But back then, if they didn't play, the team got the pick for what they designated. So all those players became draft choices. Jimmy marched every single Minnesota Viking player into his office and said this: you're never going to play a down in Dallas for me. Not one of you. I want the picks. Every one of those guys never played a down in Dallas. Jimmy got the picks. That's what he wanted. He didn't want the players. He wanted the picks. Not one guy. Vlad, it's a point I'm making. Cobra's going, you know what? You're going over because the Eagles are going over situations. It's like here, a draft board. Here's in the draft board. What do you think? You just set on a guy? If you don't have the number one pick, you don't know who you're taking. You got an idea. How many conversations do you think you have if you're picking 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10? How many conversations do you think the Eagles will have on who the 10th pick is supposed to be? 20? 50? 100? Should we trade down? Should we trade up? Should we trade out of the first round with both picks? We got our quarterback. Why not get multiple picks in the first round next year when Jalen Hurts' contract kicks in? So I can go younger, maybe get another corner. Now, hey, think about this, for instance. Now that you got your quarterback, why wouldn't you trade down at 10 and potentially one of those picks you trade out of the first round to get multiple first-round picks the following year when Hurts' contract kicks in? Why wouldn't you do that? Some go, Sills, they won't do that. You got to talk about it. And that would bring another gigantic player to the roster, because then you could have as many as 3 first-round picks next year, all because Hurts panned out. Do this. Watch this. The 30th pick and the 10th pick. What if you trade out of that and you trade into the top of the second round? You land a corner. You land an edge rusher. But you created 3 first-rounders in 2024. Is that a bad deal? You got your quarterback figured out. You've got to go young anyway. You're going to have a ton of compensation picks this year. Why wouldn't you trade out of the first round? Got your quarterback. Teams trade into the first round to get a quarterback, not a safety. You potentially could have 3 ones in 2024. 30th pick, 31st pick. It's a second rounder. Not saying he won't be an impact guy. 1 through 3, sure. 4 even. All because your quarterback panned out. And you got to pay him. And at number 10, you trade out of that pick, it saves money to pay Hurts. And all your compensation picks, you get a safety. You go get a free agent corner. You get Marcus, the kid from Baltimore. Why wouldn't you do that? You see, Cobra, it's just not about sitting here and having a take. It's about playing war games. Everybody plays war games here. How about if we trade out of the 1, out of the 10th pick, out of the 30th? What will that – because, hey, Howie's not looking at the 2023 draft. He's already on the 2024, potentially the 2025 salary cap. How's that cap going to look? The cap is going to go up between $16 and $18 million. So over the next 2 years, the cap is basically going to go up around $40 million. We're going to be able to leverage the fact that the cap is going up. We can pay Hurts. Where are our needs? We're going to have multiple compensation picks, ton of third-round picks, ton of them. Should we trade out of 10? 10th pick's going to cost you some money. You trade down or out, cost you nothing. And you get the compensation pick, and you get a first-rounder. I don't know. All that comes back to this, though. How much do you count on Kobe Dean and Jordan Davis and Juergens and these guys on who you drafted last year to step into your role this year? You see, Cobra, that's the war game you're playing. Do I believe Dean could step in? Is Davis going to be able to play more than 20 plays? Does that give me the ability to move out of the first round or up? Depending on, again, because Jalen's had such a good year, this gives you now latitude. It gives you the flexibility to be able to go through. Because watch this. If your quarterback sucks, you're in the first round. And you know why teams always fail at picking a quarterback? Because they're forced into it. Why do you think you see more bust, or as many busts, if not more bust, quarterbacks in the first round? You know why? You're forced into it. Once you got that quarterback position cemented, you've got the leverage and latitude and flexibility to do anything you want. Look at how many years the Jets have been in like quarterback dungeon or the landfill of quarterbacks. They're constantly forced into it. They're forced into this kid from BYU. He stinks. Look at all the quarterbacks, since Vinny. And he wasn't even a Jet. He was a Buck, probably since Richard Todd. Chad Pennington, maybe. Pennington did win a division title, but that was the year Brady got hurt. Figueroa goes, what would you do honestly? I got to wait and see. Furman, I really think this still all is predicated on how they handle Jalen Hurts. What do you do? Do you play a little game of chicken with him by saying this? And both sides have been saying this. Hey, we got plenty of time. Got another year. It's all good. Don't worry. That's nice for the public. But bottom line is, Clutch Sports is probably putting the gas down. I wouldn't say they're stepping on it, because I think that Jalen is probably, I would say this to you, Jalen is probably making them not step on the gas. This is your hometown discount. I don't believe Jalen's going to make this thing get ugly. He loves Philly. I do believe he does. Hollywood Hogan, Eagle salary cap. Philadelphia's NFL leading $46 million in dead money. Credit card bill is due. Eagles go 8-8 next year because in a crap division. If they go 8-8, Hollywood, it's because defense and coordinators weren't right. And they had injuries where they got lucky last year. They had all the things that went right for them last year don't go right this year. Free agents don't hit. Draft choices don't step up. Here's easily how you don't make the playoffs. You hire the wrong coordinator. How do you know you don't hire Mike Nolan? How do you know you don't hire a bad coordinator? Now, there's a track record of them hiring good assistants. That's what's on their side. Their track record is good. Okay? They got a good track record of hiring coaches that are qualified and good. Just saying. You don't even know your personnel yet on defense. So when you hire the coordinator, what are you hiring him to do? It's like the chicken and the egg conversation here. Well, let's get the coordinator in the building. Okay, so you're running a 43 or 34, 50 front, wide nines. What are you doing? Are you running a young system, a new system, a college-type system? Are you bringing in a college? This is why you can bring a college guy in, because you don't even know what you're doing yet. And I'm not saying from a football-wise you don't know what you're doing. You don't know who's in the building yet. You have no idea who's in the building defensively. You're assuming. You're not going to get hometown discounts. They gave it to you last year, especially with guys like Hardgrave and CJ and Bradbury. Those guys, I'm going to make a point to you. Unless you franchise tag one of those three guys, they're not coming back. The price of success for the Eagles dictates that those guys are going to get big money on the open market. Hardgrave's going to get $18 million. Bradbury's probably going to get $17, $16 million. Gardner Johnson's going to get all of the 14-4 if they don't franchise him. Those guys are all three getting big money deals. All big money deals. So you sit here and go, well, we're getting these guys. They gave you the hometown discount last year. Bradbury's already said he's not coming back for any hometown discount. I gave that to you already. Brian goes, I'd take CJ out of the three. You're probably going to have to franchise him. You know what's funny? Franchise tag may be cheaper because somebody may overpay for him. Man goes, Dan, what's a hometown discount? They gave it to you already. They played under a one-year deal, under market value. They already did. Jalen Hurts gave you the hometown discount. Why in the world? We talked about this with Seth yesterday. Why in the world would Jalen Hurts take a hometown discount when he played on a second round deal last year? You want him to take another discount? Why? Because he's a good dude and loves Philly? That's not how it works. There's very few people in that building that are loyal to you. If I hear someone mention hometown discount one more time, I'm going to lose it. Hey, Tone knows, man. That team was built on hometown discounts. You want to know something? You guys went to a yard sale and you found a Rembrandt. Now it's time to sell the Rembrandt. You're not going to buy the Rembrandt for what you bought it at the yard sale. Would you sell your Rembrandt for what you bought it for? Say you bought a Rembrandt for $1,000. Turned out you found he was a Rembrandt. And you found out it was $10 million. You selling it for what you bought it at the yard sale? That's how the players look at it. That team was a dollar store of the NFL a year ago. Turns out there were Rembrandts and Michelangelos and, you have Picassos. And all of a sudden, you're looking at this whole, you're looking at this museum filled with great masterpieces. Well, you got to pay for that. You got to pay for that. Oh, no, we're just going to sell it for what I bought it for at the yard sale right around the corner there on Royal Crest Drive. What? These guys all pan out to have incredible years. I've never seen anything like it. I do think Fletch and Graham could probably do something like that, but they're not essential pieces to bring back. They're not essential. Those three dudes in the secondary are essential, and one of those backers are essential. I think you're going to probably start the season with Milton Williams and Jordan Davis as your tackles. Hargrave ain't coming. He's 30. So you think Howie gives Hargrave $18 million? Huh. And Tone's dead on with this. That's why the Super Bowl loss was such a ball buster. I told you, it's never going to get better than what it was this year, especially for Jalen Hurts. He'll never play on a better team. Mahomes will never play on a better team than his first year on the rookie contract that he won the Super Bowl. He'll never play on a team better than that. He'll never be on a team better than that. Shit, Brady had to leave New England to play on a better team. Why do you think Brady left New England? He wanted to play on a better team. Brady, his best teams were the teams earlier. Rodney Harrison, all them dudes that were on defense, Junior Seau and them guys. There were never guys like that again. You're never going to have – Jalen Hurts will never play on a team as good as the one in 2022. I'm going to make that proclamation to you. He'll never be – I'll say this to you, Chris. I don't know if it's the best team. It's the best roster, I think, in the Super Bowl era the Eagles have ever had was the 2022. That's right, Tone. Eagle fans really don't understand the roster was a once-in-a-generation, and we blew it. Watch this. That 2022 team, that roster, I should say, was better than the 17 roster. Was better than 17 roster. Foles outplayed Brady. Graham made a play. Ertz made a catch. Right? Howie has an answer? Like he did on the 4-win team? I like Milton Williams too. Chris, I agree with you, man. I agree. Dead cap hit, $15 million. The Eagles re-signed Cox on a one-year deal, $14 million, but the dead money comes from pushing millions back in dummy years over the past 5 years. That's right. See, people don't bring this up with Roseman. Roseman's got a ton of dead cap money. Got a ton of dead cap money. Moving deals around. Shit, that Alshon Jeffries deal was on there for 3 extra years. All right, let's do this. Please hit the like button. Got some NFL news. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
When it comes to the fight,